All right, guys. All right, guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get right into this and talk about Zohran Mamdani. I got to tell you, this guy is very, very dangerous. His ideologies when it comes to um, corporations, when it comes to billionaires, when it comes to police, very dangerous for America. I mean, let's just talk about this. One thing we got to make sure we understand about this, that he has specifically called for the funding of police, which is terrible because you need way more police, especially with all the violent political attacks that we've seen against Trump and Charlie Kirk and all these other people. You need more police. You don't need to defund. You actually need to put more money. You need more officers on the streets. But he says that police in New York are, get this, racist and anti-gay. Yes, right. People who put their lives on the line every single day for the city of New York are racist and anti-gay. He doesn't like billionaires. He doesn't think billionaires should exist whatsoever. These are his words, not mine. And in his words, he's also going to target, get this, richer white neighborhoods. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That sounds a little racist to me. He's going to target rich white neighborhoods. But if you don't believe me, let's just hear from him.
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now.
Your website.
This is the problem that we see right now. And I'm actually, glad that she touched on this. When you use skin color and say, I'm going to target rich white people, because let's just be clear about this. He's an immigrant from Africa, from Uganda. Okay. He, being an immigrant, wants to sit there and play the victim card because he's a socialist. He doesn't want any billionaires to exist. He hates rich people, even though his mom and dad had a lot of money and he didn't have a job till he was like 28, 29 because he was living off of his mom and dad. He hates billionaires. He hates the idea of billionaires. He wants to seize the means of production, which is crazy. And not only that, billionaires are the job creators in this country. There's a lot of rich, Jewish people in this country, especially in New York. Do you know that New York City holds the highest population of Jewish people? I believe it's like 1.6 or 1.4, 1.6 million people that are Jewish people that live in New York City alone. And if Zohran Mamdani, who is a Muslim, is supposed to represent 1.4 to 1.6 million Jewish people, wouldn't you think that as mayor, you should be standing up for what's right? Now, I'm going to talk about this whole Palestine movement, Free Palestine movement. This Free Palestine movement is literally nothing more than the extermination of Jewish people. I don't care what anybody says. You can hear them. You literally say from the river to the sea. When they say that, they're saying from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, inshallah, which is God willing, we shall be free. Now, how are you going to do this, by the way? Whenever you ask somebody, what does Free Palestine mean? When you're chanting in the street and you got your flag and you say Free Palestine, what do you mean by that? There's a lot of times we ask that. There's a lot of times you see people get interviewed on the side of the street. What do you mean by Free Palestine? Well, Free Palestine is nothing more than a violent uprising. That's what it is. It's a violent uprising. Globalized Intifada, which is a terrible Palestinian chant, which pretty means the removal of the Jewish people. Get them out. We're going to globalize the Intifada. We're going to get them out of here. And the Palestine will be free from the Mediterranean, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Inshallah, God willing, we will be free. But how can you do that? I got it. Because they're going to have a violent uprising against the Jewish people and get them out of here. That's why they don't recognize the Jewish state. But with Zohran Mamdani being asked, how come you haven't condemned the phrase globalized intifada? What, you're supposed to represent 1.4 to 1.6 million Jewish people. That, again, New York City has the highest population of Jewish people in the country, and you can't demonize or condemn that phrase? Well, let's just see what Zohran's response was when he was asked, when he was confronted, why you won't condemn that phrase, a globalized intifada. Let's just see what he has to say.
I want to ask you about an issue that has divided some New Yorkers in recent weeks. You were recently asked about the term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians alike.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks.
He's doing a typical Democratic response. Answer the damn question. It is a simple yes or no. Do you condemn the phrase? And what he's doing is what most Democrats do. When they're put up against a wall and they have to say the right things because they're trying to appease everybody, right? Because if he says, yes, I condemn the phrase, absolutely. I hate the phrase globalized intifada. It's a violent uprising. It's a violent Palestinian chant against the Jewish people. It is my job as mayor, or potential next mayor of New York City, to make sure that my Jewish people are represented in a way where they feel safe, and their leader, me, represents them, wants them to have a right, a state, the only Jewish state in the world, obviously Israel. They have a right to existence. They have their safety, and anything that threatens their right to existence, any people that threatens their right, I am absolutely against that. Well, he's not going to say that. Why? Because he's pro-Palestine. You cannot be pro-Palestine and pro-Israel at the same time. He, in the middle of the streets of New York, is chanting free Palestine. You cannot say in one breath, free Palestine, and then in the other breath say, I support the Jewish people. You can't. It's complete opposites, because their goal is completely opposite. Israel wants a right to exist. That's it. They want to be left alone. They want to have their Jewish state, and that's it. Palestine says, absolutely not. We don't want to do that. We want Israel gone. We want them wiped off the map. That's what it is. That's what the chant is. That's globalized intifada. That is what that chant is. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this guy is possibly going to be the next mayor of New York, because I mean, Cuomo had his own stuff, you know, with the sexual harassment allegations and, you know, the nursing home stuff during COVID. He's got his own problems. I don't know if Eric Adams and the other guy that's running, I forgot his name, the other guy that's running, if they both drop up and everybody puts support behind Cuomo, he can potentially win. But right now, it's not looking good for Cuomo. But let's take a look at the background of who Zohran Mamdani is.
To accomplish, the less you should speak about Palestine. And for me, what made it central to my identity is that it is a glaring contradiction. This is Astoria. Astoria has been home to immigrant communities across the world for decades. The biryani and some eggplant. When you're a South Asian Muslim growing up in New York City, there aren't so many places where you can feel at home. And this is one of those avenues where, for me and for so many others, you can be yourself. This is how we defeat the occupation. Style.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine?
Look at this guy eating with his hands right here. When immigrants come to this country, why are they not assimilating to American culture, American values? He sit there and wants to be known as a Palestinian Muslim immigrant, which is fine. You're for free Palestine. I understand that, but this is America. Americans don't eat with their hands like that. Who are you trying to impress when you do that? When you say you go to this restaurant and you want to be yourself, is that who you are, eating with your hands like a damn savage? Who are you? You cannot say free Palestine and I'm pro-Israel in the same sentence. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you two more examples, that there are actually people, Muslim people in New York, who are absolutely upset at him because he does not go all the way to say, I don't want Israel to exist. Because again, that is what the free Palestine movement is. They don't want Israel to exist. And I'm going to give you an example right here.
People like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist. Don't be hypocritical. Because people like
exactly my point. You just heard from the mouth. You heard from the horse's mouth. You cannot say free Palestine and Israel has a right to exist, because it is two completely different messages. If you are free Palestine, you don't want Israel to exist. You don't recognize Israel as a Jewish state. You don't recognize them as a state, period, because you want to take over that region. And that is why Netanyahu has done what he's done, because you heard from this guy's mouth. I want to play it one more time.
Because people like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist. Don't be hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine when you're also defending the right for Israel to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It's not your land to say it has the right to exist.
Thank you. I mean, what more do you want? This is what the Palestinian people are. They don't want Israel to exist. You just heard from this guy. He is calling Mamdani hypocritical, which I agree, because he's saying, hey, you're chanting free Palestine, but at the same time, you're saying that Jewish people have a right to exist. That is completely opposite. And this guy is calling him out on him. This is exactly what the Palestinian people are. They don't want Israel to exist. But if you don't believe this guy, let's just take another clip of this girl.
Get off of me. You just witnessed that and you didn't do shit. You should be ashamed. In the Quran, it says that there will be hypocrites. Hypocrites who believe in Allah and say that they are Muslims. But you know what makes them different? They side with the oppressors. You cheer on AOC. AOC signed in support of the Iron Dome, and yet you glaze her. You praise her. You should be ashamed, you hypocrite.
Look how dangerous this girl is. She's mad because he supports AOC, which, whatever, you can say whatever you want about AOC, but AOC supports the Iron Dome, and she's upset that he hangs out with AOC, who supported the Iron Dome in Israel, which is obviously an anti-missile deterrent that Israel has when all these people are trying to attack them. They consider this Iron Dome, which is a, anti-missile deterrent, where they have this really high capabilities to make sure that if they are bombed, if missiles do come their way, then they can, they have a high defensive capability to deter those missiles. And she's upset about that. She is very upset that he hangs out with AOC, who wants Israel to have an Iron Dome, who has an Iron Dome. And it's crazy. That's how these people think. These people, just from these two testimonies from this guy and this girl, are literally saying you are a hypocrite because you sit there and chant free Palestine and you think Israel has a right to exist. Again, it is completely opposite. Hear from the words of her.
They are continued to be brutalized for protesting against genocide every single fucking day, protesting against graduations, and you still haven't said shit, but you will condemn direct actions against Zionist settlers. Have some damn shame. How do you pray every single day to Allah? How do you pray?
It's very frustrating right now. It's right now. We don't know where it's going to go. This New York election, we don't know where it's going to go. I feel terrible for the people of New York, because if this guy wins, you are going to be directly affected by his policies, and his policies are dangerous. Any person that says, I don't think that billionaires should exist, he wants to defund the police because he says they're anti-gay and racist, is obviously untrue. The New York police, just like all the police across the country, are heroes. And it's a very troubling time right now. If this guy wins in New York, it's the corporate tax is going to raise. He already said he's going to take from millionaires. If you make $1 million or more in New York, you're going to be taxed like crazy. And it's going to deter a lot of people from living in New York. And there's a lot of people, regardless of the policy, that love living in New York. But if you're rich and Mamdani said, hey, I'm literally going to target you. If you live in a rich white neighborhood, again, that's his tax policy. He's going to target the richer white neighborhoods. These are his words. So why would you stay in New York? If you're going to get taxed up the butt, and he represents a Jewish people, which if you represent 1.4 to 1.6 million Jewish people and you can't even condemn the phrase globalized intifada, you're sitting there chanting free Palestine. And it's like you heard in this clip, this guy is sitting there saying you're a hypocrite, which I agree. He says you're a hypocrite because you're chanting free Palestine. And then you say, on the other hand, that Israel has a right to exist, which is, again, it's completely opposite. If you're chanting free Palestine, you don't recognize a Jewish state. You don't want Israel to exist. That's how violent that movement is. Globalized Intifada is a Palestinian violent chant, uprising against the Jewish people. That's what that is. So I see what Mamdani's doing. He's trying to play both sides. He's obviously a person who is a Muslim and has to support the Palestinian movement, but at the same time, he has the highest Jewish population in the city, so he has to play both sides. And that's what the problem is with these fake Democrats. So hopefully, as bad as Cuomo is, I think he's a lesser of two evils at this point. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see where it comes out to. We're gonna see how it plays out. And I don't know, man. Mamdani, if he wins, the whole state of New York, the whole city of New York is just, it's going to be ruined. All right, guys, catch me on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here.